I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Heat advisories in the orange and warnings in the pink in effect through Friday. The exception is the mountains, where our heat risk will still be moderate to major on Thursday. All the purple is extreme heat risk continuing again Friday and many areas Saturday as well. So it's possible that we'll have to see that need for a heat headlines continue on the 4th of July. Watch Charleston's heat index fall to 99 Monday. Still hot, but less extreme at that time. Friday, later in the day from the north, a marginal risk for severe weather. Then later in the day, Saturday, and again on Sunday, a marginal risk for some heavy rain that could bring some flooding concerns. So we will see a more active stretch with some shower and thunderstorm potential heading through 4th of July weekend. But for now, still very clear. Areas of fog setting up overnight into Thursday, followed by another rather dry day. FlyCRW forecast, it starts at home. A lot of other spots you could be traveling to will keep the need to practice heat safety through 4th of July weekend. Triple-digit heat for Charlotte and D.C. Panhandle to Panhandle forecast. Part of the issue is temperatures maintaining in the mid-70s overnight. Moundsville, 75. We'll have a high here of 98 on Thursday, 96 Morgantown. Martinsburg, 74 for a low. We will have the mountains again a bit cooler. Davis, 67 for a low, 89 for a high. Meanwhile, pushing back to these hot spots, 104 Martinsburg, 103 for Petersburg. Some fog sitting up here and there. Elkins, 70 tonight, 93 then on Thursday, with 99 for Ripley. We'll see Marlinton, 67, Charleston, 73. Areas of fog possible overnight. Then temperatures well into the 90s for our Thursday. So hot through the rest of the week, some storms developing over the weekend, and by next week, highs in the 80s.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Five, three,
Rag 57! Rag 57! Hot, hot!
I don't believe what I just saw.
Bill McKenzie kicks a 38-yard field goal on the final play of the football game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
From the home of the state's land-grant institution, inside the Health Plan Studios, in the Dale B. Miller Building in Morgantown, it's time for the state's most listened-to sports talk show. This is the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. CityNet, cybersecurity experts for the digital age. And now, across the state of West Virginia and beyond, Sportsline is on the air.
Sportsline for a Wednesday night, and it's been a big day. We've got a lot to cover here on this edition of the CityNet Statewide Sportsline. We're in the Health Plan Studios. Kyle Wiggs, Greg Hunter, Brad Howe. We're all here. Tony's going to join us in just a couple of moments. He's talked all day about the big news concerning the Mountaineer Sports Network games, the Learfield product coming back to WVRC Media stations. So a little bit more on that. Also, a Three Guys Before the Game, a new episode is out with Director of Athletics Wren Baker. We've got some comments from him coming up. And first of all, good evening to you guys.
Good evening, Kyle.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. So, and I wanted to throw out a text question. This is, I think, pretty interesting. The fact that we've talked radio all day, radio play-by-play. So what are the events that you learned about or listened to radio only? What were the biggest events that you listened to on the radio and caught up with the highlights later? 304 Talk one. 304.
Yeah.
I've got a couple. I've got one very, very recent, and then I've got one back from when I was in college that we can talk about. It's part of the introduction to this show, which probably gives it away.
Mm-hmm.
But what were the events? What were the sporting events, the greatest sporting events you heard on the radio? 304 Talk 304. So we'll get into that as well.
Good one.
And Tony's with us. Tony, good evening.
Hi guys, good evening to you, Kyle. I think you've done wonderful things with the studio design that's pretty fancy there, guys. Look very nice.
Of course, I had absolutely nothing to do with it, but thank you.
Yeah,
it does look good.
Very color coordinated, right? Nice branding behind Wiggs right there. Looks good, doesn't it?
Hey, I'm just
Wiggy,
happy if he didn't fall and hit me in the head.
Yeah, I know. You've had that happen a couple times. Hey, Wiggy, I'm going to guess, were you listening to the Miracle on Ice on the radio as a student?
No. I was listening to the Kurt Gibson home run off of Dennis Eckersley. I don't believe what I've just So that I was had gone to an NHL game that night, and we came out of the NHL game, drove to a Burger King, and I was eating a cheeseburger and onion rings in the parking lot.
Very specific.
Well, that's what I always got when I went to Burger King, so I knew what I was eating. I was eating a cheeseburger and an onion rings with my friends on the hood of the car, listening to Jack Buck call that 1988 World Series game.
Awesome.
And we were listening when that incredible call was made. Now, my other one was just recently, June 1st. Luke and I were driving to Charleston to start coverage the next day of the state softball tournament, and we listened to Andrew and Jake call the regional championship victory over Kentucky.
Yeah, that's an all-timer, right?
Yes. So those are my two. Cat's out of the bag there for me.
Good ones.
304 Talk 304. The greatest things you've heard on the radio. What about you, Tony? Back to your youth.
So my context on this was I didn't realize you said the greatest things. One of the most horrendous things I ever heard. I was driving with Dale Miller from Huntington back to Morgantown. We had just had a meeting with folks at Marshall, and the space shuttle exploded upon takeoff. And Christopher Glenn from the CBS Radio Network, who was the guy that did all of their coverage of space, he's doing it, and so it's off the pad, and then you hear that quiet, and then I'll never forget that. It was just, and then unfortunately, September 11th, I was driving here in Morgantown and listening to ABC break in and say, planes have hit the World Trade Center. So sports-wise, I've had a couple of moments that you'd listen to, but those are the two things that you kind of put you right where you were at that moment.
I was listening to the space shuttle that morning too. It was a weekday, and I was in high school. And I worked for the student newspaper. I was in the student newspaper room, probably laying out a page, and we had KMOX on the radio in the room when the space shuttle blew up. So I remember that really, really well.
Yeah.
Now, on that note,
anyway, not to drag the program down on a day where we're talking about something positive and fun, but that radio has a way, and and you guys are going to get some unbelievable answers tonight on the text line, because we come across people all the time that will tell us, hey, I was here when this happened. Brad and I were down at the Gomart 55th birthday party in Gassaway today, and we had a gentleman tell us that even though the games are on television, regardless, he says, I listen on the radio because it's just better that way. You can let your mind imagine what it looks like, and so there are a lot of memories that we have.
So what does this mean to you? The fact that obviously you worked for this company, West Virginia Radio, which has evolved into WVRC Media, and it's been 13 years since a Mountaineer broadcast was on a WVRC Media radio station, and it's coming back to the original flagship station, WAJR 1440 in Morgantown. What does that mean to you personally?
Well, I think historic, right? Because the West Virginia Radio Corporation, WAJR, WVAQ, had produced the games for so many years. And so I think there's just so much history that, Mountaineer fans have and listeners have, because they will have those moments when West Virginia, beat Penn State in '84, when West Virginia beat BC and Doug Flutie in '88, the undefeated season, and all of those memories in basketball as well, that kind of goes back to I was listening to this station. And so I think today's announcement, probably is big for fans in the sense that it goes back to where it was. And I think that, just from a power standpoint and technical standpoint, the coverage for fans has just increased tremendous. I think we would all agree that geographically and topographically, West Virginia presents some, significant boundary challenges and signal challenges when it comes to radio. And, specific to the Morgantown market, when you're going to go on a 50,000 watt FM in WVAQ that can be heard, pretty much to Pittsburgh and then south all the way down I-79. I think today's announcement, straight down the interstate, down 79, north central West Virginia, then going over to the eastern side, it just opens up the broadcasts to more Mountaineer fans. More ears are going to be able to listen.
And, it is, Tony, you talk about the history of things, and certainly in today's world, I guess maybe we should only focus on what's going forward. But I know the history of the Mountaineer Sports Network, and even before that, WAJR, I think probably months after it went on the air originally in 1940, was the first to broadcast a Mountaineer football game that season. And shortly thereafter, a couple years later, Jack Fleming took over and ran with it. Now, there were contracts that took it out of control of AJR at times, but back and forth up until 13 years ago, a vast more time on than off. So anybody in Morgantown who grew up listening to the Mountaineers almost certainly listened to WAJR during that time.
Yeah, I think you hit on a good point there, Greg, and that is there's always been this association between these stations and the Mountaineers because Jack Fleming, not only was he the announcer of the games, he was the general manager of WAJR, for years and years. And before that, he was the morning disc jockey on WAJR, and he used to have this line, this getting you up is getting me down. That was one of his lines when he was jockeying. And so Jack's association with these stations and the Mountaineers were always one and the same. And, again, you don't want to get too deep into the weeds on this, but the fact is West Virginia, WAJR, WVAQ, and West Virginia Radio, WVRC, they never owned the broadcast rights to the games. I think that's always been out there that, West Virginia Radio lost the rights. They never had the rights. WVU always owned the rights. WVU was one of the last schools in the country to maintain its rights in-house. And Michigan State was also one of the last schools to do it. All WAJR, WVAQ did was they produced the broadcasts from our studios. Now that changes now. They've been done, and they are done in Winston-Salem, North Carolina with Learfield, and they've got, literally 80, 90 properties across the country that they do. So this changes in the sense that the games won't be literally produced, commercials won't come out of Morgantown, but the stations will air the games. So it's just, a more powerful signal, and it kind of takes people that have been around for a while, it'll bring them back to where they used to be.
I think that's the important point. You said it earlier, and it's interesting that over the last however many of years, West Virginia's broadcasts are traditionally in the top 5 in terms of most listened to broadcasts, however you maybe get them, whether that's digitally streamed or otherwise. And so I think you take what is already, as we know, a popular brand and a brand throughout this state that so many people want to hear and listen to, and now you amplify it. And those parts of the state that do have trouble streaming now have more of a chance to get a bigger signal going into those areas. So I think if you don't walk away with anything else, Tony, I think you would agree. That's the keynote point. So it takes something that's been a top 5 listener from listenership, and it amplifies it even further.
Yeah, correct. And Wren touched on that, earlier when we were on this morning, and the announcement was made that West Virginia is a radio state, again, because of its geography. And as a result of that, it's always been a big radio station, a big radio listenership. This goes back, and Brad, you can remember, there used to be this thing called Team Line, where people would call in and put their credit card down and literally put the phone into their ear and listen for the whole game. And those numbers back then were always huge. So there's just this inherent passion and desire of Mountaineer fans, whether they're still living in state or out of state, to want to listen to the games. And that continues. There's a record that was set this year by the most streams that have ever been done at MSN. and because of the baseball team's success, women's basketball success. So it continues, and it continues to sound really, really good. They put a ton of effort into this network in Winston-Salem. And, guys, this has changed a little bit over the course of 13 years that, baseball broadcasts start a little bit earlier in the season than they used to. And women's basketball goes from, the very first exhibition game all the way to the end. There are now women's basketball coaches shows. Coach Kellogg does a women's show as well. And so all of those entities now will be available. And the network also does an Olympic sports show that they do as a podcast that doesn't clear the air, but it's out there. Mountaineer Report is a daily report, kind of like our Gold and Blue Report, that airs Monday through Friday from August all the way to the end of baseball season. So there's just a lot of pieces to this. And so, Mountaineer fans will just get, a ton of coverage going forward, starting when football season starts.
Get into some of these texts here, Tony, and I'm sure you'll enjoy this because most of them involve you. Texter says, my dad and I remember listening to Tony calling the Jared West banked-in three-point shot to beat Cincinnati 1999 NCAA tournament, Boise, Idaho.
Wow. What an afternoon, man. The 2 seed was Cincinnati, 10 was West Virginia. Cincinnati had a ton of really, really good players. And obviously, Jared hit the shot. Ruben Patterson jumped up over a high ball screen, got a finger on it. Exactly right. Got a finger on it and changed the trajectory of the ball, and it banks and it goes down. And that was one of the all-time great moments.
Another one. 2 buddies and myself were driving from Morgantown to Wilmington, North Carolina, during the Wake Forest triple overtime game, having to switch radio stations constantly to hear the game. So there's another great one.
Yeah, that was, and we talk about that game a lot. An independent writer out of Los Angeles, one of the LA sports writers, said one of the greatest games in the city of Cleveland's history. So that one certainly left a mark.
Or Greg, we were just talking about this one before the show last night, guys, and you talk about a full circle moment. Chris Paul, of course, playing in that game. This week, Miles Sadler is with Chris Paul at the Chris Paul Elite Academy in Las Vegas, one of 15 college point guards that was invited to that.
You would not advise Miles to tell Chris Paul that he knows Mike Ganzik.
Still salty is Chris Paul about that loss in the NCAA tournament that ended his career, right? Wasn't that his final game?
That was it.
As a Demon
That was his last
He had
game.
a couple more games, but it was at the pro level.
Yeah, see you, CP3. You're out. We're moving on.
Do you think, does Paul go over to him this week and go, my last game in college was against West Virginia, or does he not mention? We got to ask Miles when he comes back.
I'm going to go doesn't mention it because he's still so pissed off about it, and Miles, obviously so young, doesn't remember it or recall it. Yeah. So that's probably one in those situations. Just have an impasse, don't mention it, and move along. Let Miles go dazzle him with his ball handling and move along.
We've got 2 votes for the Louisville-West Virginia football game. This texter says he ran 2 stoplights with the sheer excitement of listening to you call that on the radio.
That was, again, those are just all-timers.
The most popular one, we've got 3 or 4 votes for the 1982 Oklahoma game. So
that was a game. So obviously that was before I got here, 2 years before I got here. But that was the foundational moment, right, in Don Nehlen's tenure. Now, they had won the bowl game and beat Florida their previous game to end that season, but no one had expected West Virginia to go to Norman and win. And, guys, back in that day, TV was so rare and obscure to get it. They showed that closed circuit inside the Charleston Civic Center. I do know that. In the Coliseum.
Yep.
Yeah. So radio was a huge part of those games back then because, not every game was on TV.
This texter's got 3. He's the 3 biggest moments he's heard on radio. The Louisville football overtime game. Oh, this is the same guy that ran 2 stoplights. But he also listened to the 84 Penn State game and then the West Virginia Kentucky basketball game from Syracuse that put the Mountaineers in the Final Four for the first time in 50 years.
He's got some doozies on that list. That's a good one.
You were there, Wiggy.
Yeah,
I got a picture in my basement of a young Kyle Wiggs at the press table during that game.
Yep, we
Tony,
were there.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Your favorite call?
Yeah, okay. So that's the old, which one of your kids do you love
I
more?
know.
I don't know, Greg. I mean, Louisville's really good. I shouldn't say really good. I like it. Kentucky, the fact that I had like about a minute and a half to figure out that we're actually going to win the game, so I was able to do the gold and blue and the big blue. I liked, again, I didn't think of this before. I mean, I didn't go into the game thinking of this, but beat Texas Tech, if you guys remember, in the pit to go to the Elite Eight. Good night, Bobby. Hello, when we beat Bobby Knight. So, yeah, a couple of those.
The Kentucky win at the Carrier Dome, I ran into Ashley Judd in the hallway going back for postgame. She was very nice. She said she returned my greeting.
So you tell her to travel safe, going home, safe travels?
I didn't want to be too big of a smart aleck, but
safe travels.
I did say, nice to see you.
I gave her good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Before we let you go here, a few more. Best radio, the best MSN radio I recall was Coach Huggins during his post game after a loss at UConn. Radio Gold. I guess you both probably remember that.
That was
one.
epic.
I remember that because literally I was holding the close card in my hand because he hadn't come out. And I was starting to go like, whatever the card says at the end when we're getting ready done. Because it was done. It was 30-plus minutes. And that was kind of the limit. Like, if he doesn't come out in 30 minutes, we got to go away. And then I'm reading it, and I look up, and here he comes through the tunnel. And I go, well, actually, he's going to come. And that was good radio. A lot of those post games became like these therapeutic sessions, and that was the one where he really, really challenged them. And going after that point, that team turned it on.
Yeah.
But I think they had to repaint the walls in that locker room after West Virginia left.
Another texter says any Huggins loss post game was must listen.
Yeah, it was.
All right, Tony.
They were cathartic.
It's a great day to me, a Mountaineer, right? Or at least to listen to the
wherever your ears may be. Yes, it is.
Very good. Well, we appreciate your time, and again, I'm sure we'll catch up with you again here before we get to football camp, which starts in less than a month.
About 24 hours football camp.
But just walk down the hill right now, and they're there. No, it's a month from now. I haven't heard the official date. Greg, have you heard the official date? Is it August 1?
It's always right in there. First, second, third, something in there. I have not heard the official date yet.
Let the party begin.
Yep, absolutely. Tony, thanks. We appreciate it.
All right, guys, we'll see you.
We'll get to more of the text coming up. This is the CityNet statewide sports line. We're inside the Health Plan studios. Since 1979, the Health Plan has called West Virginia home. From humble beginnings, they've grown alongside West Virginia, becoming a part of its fabric. For over 4 decades, they've been here through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses, proudly serving West Virginia for over 40 years. The Health Plan.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The Health Plan. We are here for you.
If a fire occurred in your home, would your smoke alarms work? Don't wait for a tragedy to find out. Smoke alarms are designed to give you and your family the precious seconds you need to safely escape. Test your smoke alarms every month by pressing the test button until the alarm sounds. Depending on the type of battery in your smoke alarm, you may need to change the batteries at least once a year or whenever the low battery warning chirps. And never remove the batteries for any reason. Remember, having working smoke alarms is not only a good idea, it's the law. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office.
This boating season, elevate your family time with Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Proudly family-owned for over 40 years, Lou and his sons are West Virginia's largest Avalon pontoon dealer. Trusted experts in premium boats, motors, and service. Discover refined comfort, elegant design, and performance you can feel. Now is the perfect time to take advantage of preseason savings. At Lou Wendell Marine Sales, they don't just sell boats. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com because the weekend's almost here.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
What do you know about hot dogs? Because we've been all about hot dogs this week.
I love hot dogs, and I love them with Miracle Whip.
Oh, God, I forgot. Never mind. I forgot
and onions.
Okay.
I actually, yesterday morning, I had a hot dog for breakfast at 6:45 with onions and Miracle Whip.
And with that, we'll be back right after this.
Join Dave Allen weekdays for midday on MetroNews Television.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
Looking for a show that talks about everything? You found it.
By the way, I'm really happy to talk about this as opposed to Ryan's opinion that being a sports fan is a bad thing.
He said that it kept him from being stressed about it, not that it was a bad thing, that he didn't have the stress. And, I mean, I've seen you pace.
Yeah, you're only 30 and you look like that.
So true. So
Join Dave Weekly and Coop weekdays for Hotline on MetroNews Television.
CityNet statewide sports line. We're in the Health Plan Studios for this Wednesday. Kyle, Greg, and Brad catching up on the text. We're going to hear from Wren Baker in a bit. Texter asked how this all came about in terms of certain markets getting WVU sports back. Was the contract up? Well, yes. That's the simple answer to that the contract with the previous stations was up, and WVRC Media basically won the bid to bring the games back. And it doesn't include our markets in Charleston or Beckley at this time. So, again, it's Morgantown, Clarksburg, Elkins, Eastern Panhandle, Martinsburg, Berkeley Springs, and our stations in the Cumberland region already had the games. So that's the answer to that. 304 Talk 304. Texter says Jack Fleming's call of the Penn State scene setter on Halloween. Still have a recording that I made several years later when it was replayed before a game. Yeah, Jim, that was Jim Stallings' favorite radio moment, like in ever. He played that every year on Halloween. And
Mountaineers lost that game. That's the only thing that's sort of forgotten in that moment, but that was a classic.
Texter says the Greer touchdown throw against Texas at Texas. Listen to that one on the radio.
Great one.
Yeah, that was a great one. I might have listened to that one on the radio too. Although we were doing the game day coverage, I had left the station for some reason, and I recall being in the car for some reason listening to that.
I ran across that the other day. I don't know why it was in my timeline or why I saw it. I watched it like 25 times. That pass and catch were both parts of that.
Boom, boom, boom.
You can't throw it any better, and it hit Gary Jennings right in stride. And the steps to get that correct and get it down in the end zone, that's as beautiful a play as you're going to see.
And then go for two.
And then went for two and won it.
Won the game.
That was fun.
Go win the game.
Go win the game.
Texter says, what a great day to be a Mountaineer fan. And he requests for us to remind him and others before the first game how to sync up the radio broadcast with the TV.
Yeah.
That's a device thing, isn't it?
No, you can do it
Okay.
remotely. Yeah, you just you got to be listening and then kind of count in your head how many seconds. Yeah, get a point, pause it, and then pull it back up. And once you sync it up, it really is. I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but it is life changing when you get that on with the TV and the radio synced up. So it's a good way to do it.
Non-Mountaineer moment like I had with Kirk Gibson's home run off Dennis Eckersley. 1972, Jack Fleming's famous call of Franco Harris's immaculate reception was out playing football in the neighbor's yard with the kitchen radio on the driveway plugged into the Christmas lights. This is it. This might be the text of the year so far.
Say it again. The radio plugged into the Christmas lights?
Listening to the playoff game, out playing football with your buddies in the yard, playing touch football. The kitchen radio on the driveway plugged into the Christmas lights. That's it. That says it all right there. The magic of radio and the power of radio. Texter says the greatest broadcast Tony's ever done was the legendary triple overtime win over Louisville. Another vote for the 82 West Virginia-Oklahoma game, the greatest sporting event I heard exclusively on radio. Bill Mazeroski's home run in third grade must have snuck the radio in because the texter says he got in trouble.
That was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a day game, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Definitely
all World Series games were day. That was 1960.
That was worth it. That's worth the detention or whatever you had.
No doubt. 304 Talk 304. Another vote for Louisville. And let's see, Stephen Philippi says, I used to listen to WVU's football game with Woody O'Hara while digging potatoes.
Very specific. Not as specific as your Burger King order, but pretty good by Steve.
I just know that because that's what I always got when I went to Burger King. I haven't been to Burger King in decades, but that's what I always used to get. But yeah, I'm out with the transistor in the patch digging potatoes, listening to Jack and Woody. Call Mountaineer football. 304 Talk 304. We'll take some more. We'll take a break when we return. 3 guys before the game dropped today with Director of Athletics Wren Baker. We'll listen in on some of those comments when the CityNet statewide sports line returns. CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet is probably right at your front door. Now is the perfect time to connect. Local customer support you can trust, fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. Fiber is now at your front door and even in rural areas and communities across West Virginia. Thanks to broadband expansion funding, your tax dollars helped make it possible. And CityNet turned that investment into real connections for local families and businesses. Now, you can get blazing fast fiber internet with free installation, free equipment, no long-term contract, and local customer support that's always close to home. Don't settle for slow or no internet for another day. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
Answering a text or phone call while driving. Seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
If a fire occurred in your home, would your smoke alarms work? Don't wait for a tragedy to find out. Smoke alarms are designed to give you and your family the precious seconds you need to safely escape. Test your smoke alarms every month by pressing the test button until the alarm sounds. Depending on the type of battery in your smoke alarm, you may need to change the batteries at least once a year or whenever the low battery warning chirps. And never remove the batteries for any reason. Remember, having working smoke alarms is not only a good idea, it's the law. A message from the West Virginia State Fire Marshal's Office.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's MetroNews television forecast is brought to you by Lou Wendell Marine Sales. We sell family fun.
I'm meteorologist Brandon Weathers. Heat advisories in the orange and warnings in the pink. In effect through Friday. The exception is the mountains, where our heat risk will still be moderate to major on Thursday. All the purple is extreme heat risk continuing again Friday and many areas Saturday as well. So it's possible that we'll have to see that need for heat headlines continue on the 4th of July. Watch Charleston's heat index fall to 99 Monday. Still hot, but less extreme at that time. Friday, later in the day from the north, a marginal risk for severe weather. Then later in the day, Saturday, and again on Sunday, a marginal risk for some heavy rain that could bring some flooding concerns. So we will see a more active stretch with some shower and thunderstorm potential heading through 4th of July weekend. But for now, still very clear. Areas of fog setting up overnight into Thursday, followed by another rather dry day. FlyCRW forecast, it starts at home. A lot of other spots you could be traveling to will keep the need to practice heat safety through 4th of July weekend. Triple-digit heat for Charlotte and D.C. Panhandle to Panhandle forecast. Part of the issue is temperatures maintaining in the mid-70s overnight. Moundsville, 75. We'll have a high here of 98 on Thursday, 96 Morgantown. Martinsburg, 74 for a low. We will have the mountains, again, a bit cooler. Davis, 67 for a low, 89 for a high. Meanwhile, pushing back to these hot spots, 104 Martinsburg, 103 for Petersburg. Some fog sitting up here and there. Elkins, 70 tonight, 93 then on Thursday, with 99 for Ripley. We'll see Marlinton, 67. Charleston, 73. Areas of fog possible overnight. Then temperatures well into the 90s for our Thursday. So hot through the rest of the week. Some storms developing over the weekend. And by next week, highs in the 80s.
CityNet statewide Sportsline. As we're back inside the Health Plan Studios, 3 guys before the game today. It dropped. Brad, your overall impressions on your discussion with the director of athletics?
Yeah, it's always fun to have Wren in. You could literally go about 3 hours with him and not cover all of the issues that come up. And we covered a lot of ground. I mean, we talked about the current climate as it relates to NIL, potential bills that are in front of Congress. We got into all of that stuff. We just also talked a lot about the success of the programs this year and where he thought things were headed with not only Rich Rodriguez, but Mark Kellogg and Ross Hodge and Steve Sabins and the success of the baseball team. And I think we'll hear some of that when he talks about the baseball team, just glowing like the rest of us with the success of that season. But covered a lot of territory is the biggest takeaway.
Well, let's start with the hoped for, at least, guardrails. 5 years to play 5 seasons. So that's out there. And Wren Baker, his thoughts on that proposal.
So, yes, I'm happy about it because I think anything that we can do to gain any sort of clarity on any rule. I mean, it just gets maddening to constantly be trying to figure out, okay, is this the rule? Is it not the rule? And I believe I might have said this even last year when we were on because they were starting to weigh this out. Every youth sports organization, everything under the pro level, but even some of the pros have age restrictions and limits in there. And so it feels like it's more defensible in court. You can't have an 18-year-old playing Little League, and so I think long-term it'll be good. There's certainly going to be an onslaught of legal challenges for people wanting this to apply now, retroactively back to the past year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens there. But overall, yes, I'm happy about it, and I think it'll be a positive thing.
So 5 to play 5, it seems like a very reasonable compromise.
Yeah, and I think the biggest takeaway from that comment is just some sort of rules, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Whether it's 5 and 5 or you keep the red shirt, whatever you do, just put some rules in. And as we've talked many times, Wren's on board with this. Just start following the rules so then people can know what's coming. Get some sort of certainty in a world of uncertainty.
My conversations with him, it echoed exactly what he said and what you inferred. He just wants rules that everybody follows and are clear and concise and they can follow. Whatever it is, okay, we'll deal with it. But I think that's why he likes the 5 for 5, because players, coaches, administrators all understand what it is, and there doesn't seem to be any wiggle room, at least now, until the courts get a hold of it.
Yeah, we'll see, which is today, right? I mean, those hearings are beginning today, so we'll start to get some more clarity on where the courts take this. If they blow this up and allow guys like we've talked about, Brendan Lorient, the most high-profile example from West Virginia, to have another year, then it throws all the stuff back to square one. But we'll see where that goes.
Well, in order to get the guardrails and the rules in place, it looks like it's going to take congressional action for the most part. And Wren Baker had some thoughts on that.
And we often said, Congress is not going to deal with this. Well, they actually have made significant progress. Where do you see this thing ending?
Oh, yeah, I wish I knew. I would say we're closer than we've ever been, and it feels like the Senate votes are probably lining up. I don't know that I would put it in the camp of probable versus not probable. I do think the situation with Sorsby probably brought a different light and attention to if they cannot enforce that rule without interference, there legitimately is no rule that could be enforced without interference from some local judge or local state law. And so hopefully that helps people understand the problem that faces us, and that is that literally any kind of rule, mechanism, system, process that you try to put in place can be under attack in a moment's notice. And so, I've said this a couple of times. I'm now at the place where I don't think it's a matter of if there's federal legislation. I think it is when and what kind. Will it happen now? Will it offer the protections that you hope it is? But I think people are now realizing pretty universally this is not a system that will regulate itself. This is not sustainable.
Nope.
And it is going to do one of a handful of things.
And so I think the big takeaway point there is tucked within his answer. Does it provide the proper protections? I think that's the biggest part of it. And again, the bill as it sits today, if you talk to a lot of these folks, it's a long way from being a final product. There's gonna be some things added, some things taken out of there. But the biggest part of that, I think, is are there some protections and allow the NCAA to put forth its rules that its members vote upon without constantly being challenged in court, because that's the biggest sticking point right now.
Mm-hmm. You spoke early about the baseball regional against Kentucky. Wren Baker, like the rest of us who follow the Mountaineers, absolutely thrilled by those baseball games at Monongalia County Ballpark.
Those two games against Kentucky in the regional was as good of a sports experience as I have ever experienced in my life.
You've been to the Final Four, too.
I've sat on the bench for the Final Four. Absolutely. Wow. I was a GA at Oklahoma State. I've seen and done it all. There was not the pop and the energy and the buzz in that place when Paul Schoenfeld hit the home run the first game against Kentucky, and then when we walked it off in the second game, I told Steve as we were coming off the field, if you could bottle that up and sell it, there would be no drug addicts in the world, because there's not a better feeling.
That was euphoric
than that right there. It's just absolutely incredible.
Well, that's well said.
I don't know that you can add anything to that, right? I think everybody listening to this program, us included, would agree with that sentiment. That was about as good as it gets.
Mm-hmm. And what about the coaching staff? What Steve Sabins and his group has done to elevate the Mountaineer program?
And I want to take a moment here to just talk about we have a unique set of coaches in terms of, Steve is Coach Sabins has been incredible. I said a couple of times, he is this unique combination of blending old school work ethic and values and culture with new school technologies and advancements. And I think he's always eager to learn, always willing to grow, and is always looking for a way to get an edge up.
Yeah, so again, very accomplished coaching staff and coach in a very short period of time, as a head coach at least.
Yeah, 2 years in, and look what he's done. But again, he is unique, and we've all dealt with him. I mean, obviously, West Virginia has some of the most advanced technology in college athletics, college baseball, certainly, but he also has a very old school feel about him.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
What else has taken a life of its own? Well, country roads certainly has. So let's hear Wren Baker talk about that.
I was telling an AD in the Big 12, he was talking about just how viral everything's been, and how great that must be for us. And I was like, dude, I thought everybody knew we sang country roads after games. Like, I didn't know this was like a new thing. We've been doing it for a couple decades. So, I think I think we all know how special it is, but you can just see when they do the crowd shots, the people singing it and the pride. I mean, and even like when they sing at the World Cup, like, it's different because people are singing it because they love the song, but it's different when you see our crowd and people are crying and they're like singing their heads off. There was a shot in one of the regionals where they pan down our baseball line, and some of those guys are singing like their life depended on it. Like you can just tell with all of the energy that inside of them, they're belting it out. I think it's special for people to see the connection that West Virginians have with the institution, the athletic department, our teams, but also the connection that our student athletes have with being here. And I think it's good for enrollment. It's good for recruiting prospective student athletes. But I also believe it'll have a positive impact on people's interest and visits to West Virginia.
Yeah, I think so.
It's interesting, and I agree with him because I was kind of taken aback at the firestorm it created early on and the attention it got until you think about it. And I guess that's right. If you're the rest of the country, you don't see that.
No.
Right? We know what happens because you're there, and you know that happens after each win. But if you're sitting out in Missouri, you have no idea that that's a tradition. And it came at a time frame when it wasn't on a football Saturday when there's 1,000 other things going on. And it was in a super dramatic moment that happened in a time of year when you're looking for stuff like that. And then again, I guess that's exactly what it is. People didn't know about that tradition nationwide. Man, did that thing catch on? That caught on about as much as anything has all year.
Yeah, very, very much so. We'll get caught up on the text. We've got some more coming in. The best radio moments that people have experienced in sports. So that's coming up. Stay with us. We're back to the Health Plan Studios as the CityNet statewide sports line continues after this.
Days, evenings, weekends, and holidays. You can't predict when you'll get sick or hurt. But WVU Medicine Urgent Care is prepared to help when you do. Our team treats minor illnesses and injuries and performs services like on-site lab and imaging, vaccinations, and sports physicals. WVU Medicine is ready to assist you and your family when life happens. To find the closest location near you, visit wvumedicine.org/urgent care.
Answering a text or phone call while driving seems pretty harmless, right? But in the 5 seconds you took your eyes off the road to respond, you missed the girl riding her bike across the street. You missed the dog who darted into the road. And you missed the stop sign. And while it was just a ticket this time, it could have been worse. In fact, more than 700 people are injured in distracted driving crashes each day. Keep yourself and others safe. Don't drive distracted. Just drive. This message was brought to you by the West Virginia Governor's Highway Safety Program.
We are there for you, to care for you at the Health Plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The Health Plan. We are here for you.
Live from the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet statewide sports line returns in 2 minutes on MetroNews, the voice of West Virginia.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
You know CityNet is West Virginia's leading technology company. Whether we're managing IT infrastructures, protecting the critical data and networks of our region's businesses, or providing fiber broadband, TV, and phone services, we are your go-to experts. We're also a strong partner in the communities in which we serve. CityNet, your trusted technology partner. Learn more about us, visit citynet.net.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
The Health Plan proudly supports our active and healthy communities and has been your most trusted carrier for over 40 years. Log on to healthplan.org for more information.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
Final few minutes, CityNet statewide Sportsline. Guys, a blockbuster NBA trade that has ties to WVU in a sense that, of course, Joe Mazzulla, coach of the Celtics, coach of the year, by the way, and Mike Gansey now making the decisions in Philadelphia. The Celtics have traded Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers send Paul George, 2 first-round picks, 2028, 2031, and 2 second-round picks, 28 and 2030. So Brown to the Sixers for Paul George, 2 number 1s and 2 future number 2s.
Mike not wasting any time. Been on the job about 3 weeks here, and he goes out and gets one of the most coveted guys that had been rumored to be on the block there, and Mike goes in and locks him up and gets Jaylen Brown to pair up with Tyrese Maxey and then Joel Embiid when he's healthy. So that gives Philadelphia some really high hopes. They've been knocking on that door for the last few years, but now you really have a big 3 in place with Brown, Maxey, and Embiid.
Brown will be 30 just when the season starts. He leaves Boston, 5-time All-Star, 2024 Eastern Conference Finals and NBA Finals MVP. Obviously a huge part of that 18th Celtics championship. So that makes things interesting.
Yeah. There you go.
Trade a superstar within your own division. That's pretty rare in any sport.
That was. Clearly Boston wanted to get rid of him, and Mike was there to swoop in and take him. And then you get, hopefully, if you're Mike, you get a renewed Jaylen Brown, right, with something to prove going against the Celtics in that division. So this is one. This is a big splash for Mike in his first move as the Philly president.
Instant reaction on the text line. Texter says Gansey got the best of Boston here. So that's the quick take. Let's get caught up with these texts here. During WVU night games, no reception from Newark, Ohio, so Dad and I would call the radio station and ask Lacey Neff to put us on hold so we could listen to the games.
That's a good one.
Long-distance rates didn't matter. We had no other option. That's a classic story.
Good help by our guy Lacey.
Yeah.
Got another great story here. You like detail. I know. You're into the details of this story. Best radio moment, sneaking the Scooby-Doo transistor radio into Miss Michael's English class, 1976.
Yes.
She was the new teacher in the school. It was Pirates opening day, 7th grade. The gunner and Nellie King on the call. Banished to the hall with 4 buddies, quote-unquote banished, with 4 buddies to listen to the game. Miss Michaels was the best.
Miss Michaels knew, but she was on it. She was onto their ruse early and got them. That's a great one.
Yeah, no doubt.
Way to include the teacher's name.
This is an interesting point. This texter says, I would venture to say that many of the fans who voted for the Louisville game, there probably were listening on the radio because they gave up and left.
No, that's not true. There were 132,000 people in that stadium for that moment.
Nobody left. Not a single person.
That's probably true. Given what the blue lot looked like at that moment, Greg, when it went into overtime, that probably is right. A lot of people had that on the radio out there.
I can see that.
I believe that.
Couple more things to clear up. First of all, we've got a number of texts about the content of the broadcast that will be back on WVRC Media radio stations, the content of the football broadcast will be the full Learfield 9-hour broadcast, 3 hours of pregame from Learfield, the play-by-play of the game, and the postgame. So just to clear that up, it's the full Learfield broadcast from start to finish. And secondly, a lot of questions about Charleston. And again, we kind of explained this, but the contracts for these markets were up, and WVRC Media bid on them, and it worked out. Now, that's not the case in Charleston and Beckley. So the games at this point aren't on our affiliates in those markets. So again, there's that's just kind of the way it is. One more quick one here. Best radio moment, WVU's comeback against Maryland. Outraking leaves when listening to an unlikely but it's exciting comeback with Darren Studstill. That would have been 93?
No, I think they killed Maryland that year. I got to look that. I'll look that one up.
Okay, and also we got a text about the baseball portal pickups, and I did see it earlier, but it slipped my mind. I apologize that. Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow. I know the latest was Colton Hartman, who comes to WVU from Louisville. So, again, as the week moves on, we'll get into a little bit more baseball talk. But tonight's show dominated by, of course, the radio news. And, hey, we're in radio, so
big news.
It was big news.
Good text, too. Good work, everybody, on the text line.
Excellent. This is the best, may have been the best text night in quite some time, although we had some good text nights during the middle of that baseball run, no doubt. But, yes, excellent job by the texters. Thanks for participating tonight. Thanks for listening and watching. And join us again tomorrow, the next edition of the CityNet Statewide Sportsline.
From the Health Plan Studios, the CityNet Statewide Sportsline is an exclusive production of the MetroNews Radio Network. All rights reserved.